Lynne, full disclosure, we've spoken before. I wanted you to come on. You said you didn't want to, weren't comfortable with it, too much pressure. But then you watched today and you changed your mind. Why?
I'll tell you, Chris, I watched the whole hearing, and a number of my Yale colleagues and I were extremely disappointed in Brett Kavanaugh's characterization of himself and the way that he evaded his excessive drinking questions. There is no doubt in my mind that while at Yale, he was a big partier, often drank to excess, and there had to be a number of nights where he does not remember. In fact, I was witness to the night that he got tapped into that fraternity, and he was stumbling drunk in a ridiculous costume, saying really dumb things. And I can almost guarantee that there's no way that he remembers that night. And it's unfair that he kept flipping the questions to, but I studied real hard, but I played sports. All of us in that circle played sports. In fact, both Liz Swisher and I played 2 sports. We were on varsity in both sports and were starters. And drinking to excess was the big thing on Saturday night. So it wasn't every night. It was one night. And it's just really disappointing. There were a lot of emails and a lot of texts flying around about how he was lying to the Senate Judiciary Committee today.
All right. So, Lynne, let's give him the benefit of all possible doubt, right? Let's take the lowest minimum standard of what he has to own. What if he says, I was only talking about in high school. In college, it was totally different. Then I blacked out all the time. I drank to excess all the time. I shouldn't have done it. But in high school, never. Would you believe that? You weren't with him in high school.
No, but the Ralph Club, the 100 kegs, those aren't, and weak stomach, that's not a weak stomach question. Those are, look, I don't have anything in my yearbook, but if I had stuff in my yearbook, it would be about partying.
So when you heard that today, you felt that the picture that he painted of himself is false.
I felt when I saw his Fox News interview that that picture was false. He then took that testimony and submitted it as is in the record to the Judiciary Committee. And I thought today that he evaded questions and he kept trying to turn the question around to, but I studied really hard. Well, you know what? I studied hard too. I went to Wharton Business School. I did very well at Yale. I also drank to excess many nights with Brett Kavanaugh. The two things are not mutually exclusive.
Now, Chris Dudley of Yale and NBA fame, or certainly he's known for playing in the NBA, he painted a different picture of Kavanaugh. He was a high-integrity character judge for Judge Kavanaugh. What do you make of his assessment? Why so different from yours?
Well, I can tell you I didn't go to as many parties with Chris Dudley, but I do remember one party in particular where both Brett and Chris Dudley were very drunk, and they thought it would be really funny to barge into a room where a guy and girl had gone off together and embarrass that woman. Chris Dudley was, I believe, the one that went in under the egging on of Brett Kavanaugh, and they thought it was funny. The girl was mortified, and I was furious. So I'm not sure he's the best character witness.
Now, look, not that this matters, but again, it's about the truth of what he says about himself. This is not a trial about guilt or innocence. It's a job interview. It's a credibility measurement for the highest integrity position we have. And I have to tell you, I don't believe it's disqualifying to have partied in high school or in college. But him telling the truth about himself is a more relevant standard. Was Brett Kavanaugh known at Yale as a virgin?
I have no idea.
I just want to know, because that's something he points out about himself that I know, having gone to the same school. And it's not so big a school. It's got a big name, but it's not that big a community. It's pretty small. It's the kind of thing that would have been known. So at the end of the day, when you heard Christine Ford and what she accused Brett Kavanaugh of, you have never said to me or anything I've read from you that you saw him as being that kind of person. So what do you want people to know about the range of assessment that's being made about him?
So here's what I would say, that I agree with you. I don't think a person should go on trial for drinking in either high school or college, and I did both. But I will say it is about the truth. And then I will say this about lying. Lying is never good. It is never appropriate, and it always comes with consequences. And while I can't speak to Brett, I will tell my two boys that lying is never good. And also, as their coach, I will tell them that winning isn't everything. It should be about how you play the game. And that's, I think, why many athletes at Yale were incredibly disappointed with the performance today. And quite frankly, it was a blatant lying.